Misfortune doesn't favor fools.
Hi guys, welcome to the interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we're going to give you guys a Misfortune complete guide. Now this honestly has come out like maybe 10, 15, 20 patches too late because Misfortune at one point in time honestly used to be the meta, and she used to be the best marksman in the meta. Now some of you guys may not have been playing during that time, and some of you guys probably forgot about it, but you know, if you guys want to know about all of that, you guys can check out the meta recap series that I have. So I'm gonna put that up in the cards. You guys can check it out if you guys want. But now in the current meta, of course we're doing this on patch 2.4D, with patch 2.5 coming out real soon. So now the real problem with Misfortune in the current meta is simply that she has no mobility and she has a lack of damage. Now, her entire kit is basically damaged, but she somehow still has a lack of damage. Now, the main reason for that is, honestly, she got nerfed quite a bit when she was the top champion last time. But anyways, we're gonna see how we can make her work. The patch 2.4 item update didn't really help her too much as well. So that is something to go for. It did help her out a bit, but not as much as other people. Anyways, let's not waste too much time. The gameplay is really long today, so I'm going to try to keep the rest of it as fast as possible. So now, we're going to jump into the practice tool as usual and cover her skills and leveling order. So, first up, we're going to cover her leveling order. So, first up, at level 1, you take Q, level 2 W, level 3 E, and level 4 Q again. Of course, you take your ultimate when available, you max Q, and then you max W, and of course take your ult whenever available. It's really simple. Take ult whenever available, then max Q, then W, then E. So it's honestly pretty simple. So we're gonna head over to our favorite spot in the river where I can explain what she does. So first up, her passive is honestly really simple. So basically, whenever she attacks a new target, she does get bonus damage. So how do you guys know if that is going to happen? So we're going to attack the target dummy on the left. So here, you guys can see that he's marked with that heart shape. So if I keep attacking him, it's going to do only normal damage. So that's let's fully stack Conqueror. So it does like 66 plus 5 damage. But if I attack the dummy on the right, I'm going to proc my passive. Boom, you see I did 10 plus 132. So here again, boom, 10 plus 132. Here I do 10 plus 132. If not, it's 5 plus 66. So it basically kind of doubles your basic attack damage almost. So that's pretty much it for her passive. So basically, you want to switch targets constantly when you are attacking in a team fight, if at all possible. And if like you're taking a tower, you actually want to auto the tower, auto a minion, auto the tower, auto a minion, because that actually, despite you wasting an auto attack on the minion, that actually allows you to take the tower faster. So her next skill is double up. It's a skill shot. So it hits the first hits the first enemy and has a bounce range. So here, if I shoot into this enemy, if the other target dummy is to his right, it doesn't really work. But if I go here, if you guys take a look, boom, it bounces onto the enemy behind, and it crits 100% of the time. So this is the main reason why fighting Misfortune in lane is very irritating. If the Scuttle Crab was like a minion, for example, I can Q onto the Skull Crab and bounce the shot onto the target dummy, as you guys can see there. So it's really hard to hide from Misfortune's poke, because she can get guaranteed hits in on you as long as you're standing anywhere close to your minions, which you will be if you're trying to CS. So it's really difficult in that sense to play against a Misfortune in lane. So now her W, I'm actually going to bring up the description for this one because it is kind of long. So passively, after you don't take damage for 5 seconds, you gain 25 movement speed, and after 10 seconds, it goes to 90. However, when you activate it, you instantly gain that 90 movement speed, as well as gaining 90% attack speed for 4 seconds. So another thing to note is when you proc your passive, the cooldown does lower. So anyway, here as you guys can see, I'm just walking. Here I'm already at full movement speed, but here I get increased attack speed. You guys can clearly see the increase in attack speed. So here, as you can see, when I activate it, 12-second cooldown. If I attack this guy, I procking my love tap, boom, it lowers very fast. Her E is very simple. It's an AoE. It's just a slow. So basically, make it rain, boom. They're all slowed, and it does magic damage. That's something to take note of. And her ultimate is the main reason you play Miss Fortune. So here is her ultimate. It's a large cone where she does a few waves of damage. Boom. That is like the full channel of her ultimate. Majority of the time you won't really be able to get it off, but that's the full channel of her ultimate. She roots herself technically, and then she channels her ultimate. So you gotta get into a good position if you want to use it, because if not, you'll get destroyed by the enemy team. So without further ado, let's quickly just jump into the build, the runes, as well as the spells. Alrighty, so jumping into the build. So this is the main build I use for Miss Fortune at the moment. So it starts off with the Essence Reaver, then we go into normally the Gluttonous Greaves, then the IE, then Serelda's Grudge, then Bloodthirster, and lastly the Guardian Angel. Now there's actually a lot of variations for Miss Fortune's build, but this is the personal build that I like the best, because now I feel that Miss Fortune, the main thing she brings to a team is her large AoE ultimate. So I try to build towards that large AoE ultimate. The ultimate can crit, so building crit always makes sense. So next, her main damage comes from abilities like sort of like how Illusion's main damage comes from his abilities. So normally I like to go for items like the Essence, the Essence Reaver, which will increase her ability damage, and the IE will increase her ult damage because it can crit as well. And the Serelda's Grudge does give a slow on her ult as well to prevent people from escaping, much like how it works on the Lucian ult. And then lastly, I like to go for Bloodthirster just so I get more lifesteal, because, you know, Miss Fortune, she has no mobility, she doesn't really have a lot of lifesteal, so that is something you kind of want. Now, as I said, there is a lot of variations to the Miss Fortune build. Now, let me show you guys some of the variations. So first up, you can actually go for like full crit. So you start out with the IE, then you go for something like a rapid fire cannon. Of course, you go for one of these penetration items. Of course, between Serelda's Grudge, you can also swap it out with the Molar Reminder if you so choose to. And Guardian Angel is normally your last item, so you can go for like IE Rapid Fire Cannon and like the Bloodthirster. But of course, the Bloodthirster can also be something like a Static Shiv. It can also be something like a Phantom Dancer. Now there's yet another variation of the build, which is starting off with the Youmuu's Ghostblade. So you go for Youmuu's Ghostblade, then you go into like crit, or yeah, normally you just go like something like that, into Youmuu's Ghostblade into crit. But you know, as I have mentioned, I do think that personally I do like the Essence Reaver into the Infinity Edge, into the Serelda's Grudge, unless I really need the Grievous Wounds, and then into, of course, the Bloodthirster, and lastly the Guardian Angel. So the Grievous Wounds, you can of course go for the Moral Reminder as well, because your ultimate does apply Grievous Wounds very easily with its AoE abilities, so you can go for that as well depending on the matchup. But in general, I just like using Serelda's Grudge. Now for the runes, first one, no arguments here, it's obviously Conqueror, because Conqueror is just the best rune at the moment. Then for the next rune, there is actually an argument here. So there is actually multiple arguments. First up, Champion used to be a very popular rune on Miss Fortune, but I personally don't like it at all, because I feel like with the lack of mobility and the lack of range, you're not like a Varus or a Ezreal who can like get out or just use your range. So I think that Champion on Miss Fortune is not really that good, so I don't really take it. But your other options are Hunter Vampirism for, of course, more lifesteal. Then we have Gathering Storm and Brutal. Now her early game damage is alright. Honestly, it's pretty good compared to other AD carries, although after the nerf, she doesn't do as much as she once used to. Of course, that nerf being like months and months ago, because I still remember the old Miss Fortune. I personally wouldn't take Brutal. I personally go for either Gathering Storm or Hunter Vampirism. I go Hunter Vampirism more often than not, but Gathering Storm is not bad as well, because she does scale very well with items, and she does do a lot of damage in the late game. Now for the second one is normally like a personal preference, and I obviously like Hunter Titan the best, but the rest are also viable. Now for the third one, I actually don't take Sweet Tooth. I actually do take Mana Flow Ban, because I do feel like she has very big mana issues. And I actually forgot to mention in the items that some people also built Mana Immune on Miss Fortune, which is also another item option you can have. Just that personally, I don't like it at all, and I don't really consider it into any of my builds. But yeah, so I normally take Mana Flow Ban. Of course, Sweet Tooth works here as well if you're not comfortable with the Mana Flow Ban, but I do like the Mana Flow Ban, so I do go for it. And yeah, Now for these spells, it's standard AD carry spells. It's flash and heal or flash and barrier depending on what you need for that particular match. I generally actually like heal on Misfortune just because that heal gives you a movement speed boost, which actually gives you a little bit more mobility than what you have. So I actually prefer heal on Misfortune most of the time. So with that out of the way, we can now move on to the gameplay. Alright, so here is the gameplay. And you guys know what I always say if we get to the gameplay part of the complete guides. Of course, you guys gotta remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps me out. So honestly, this Misfortune pick, I picked it for a couple of reasons. Now, firstly, I was actually last. It's not last pick because I'm blue side, but I was the last 2 picks for my team, and everybody else had already locked other than me. And here, as you can see, we have Fiora who's single target, Zed who's single target, and we have an Amumu jungle. So I was thinking that we have no AoE to combo with Amumu's ultimate. So I was like, Misfortune is pretty good for that. Let me pick Misfortune to combo with Amumu's ultimate. So Misfortune ult does a ton of damage, but the main problem with it is that she always gets interrupted, or you know, she needs to get in a safe position to cast it. If not, she's gonna die when she's trying to cast her ult. So those are the 2 main things, and if Amumu is CCing the entire enemy team, you can kind of do that. Although, the biggest problem I have here is that the hardest counter to Misfortune in Wild Rift is one Hasagi, aka Mr. Yasuo. Now, why is that the case? Because basically Misfortune's main point in damage is her ultimate. Like, really, you really are picking Misfortune purely for her ultimate, because anything else people can do better. Now, she has only 2 main strengths, which is her ultimate and her in lane poke. So her ultimate gets hard countered by Yasuo's wind wall. So there is action happening on the screen, but I'm just going to continue the discussion because nothing too much really needs to be discussed. So as long as Yasuo holds his wind wall, I cannot cast my ultimate, because if I cast my ultimate and he wind walls my ultimate, there goes like 80% of my damage. So other than my ultimate, the only other way I can damage people is, of course, attacking multiple people with my passive to actually do some meaningful damage, or to hit them with my Qs to also try to do some meaningful damage. But honestly, those really don't do too much damage later, especially later on in the game. In the early game, it's still alright. It's still you know, competitive, but you get to mid and late game, every other marksman is gonna out damage you except for your ultimate. So you're picking Misfortune for her ultimate. So of course, her other strength is her in-lane poke, where you can bounce the Q off the minions and you get poke. Of course, you could argue that someone like Ezreal does that really well as well, and I would agree. I don't think Ezreal is way better of a pick than Misfortune, but you know, they're 2 very, very different picks. Like, Ezreal is safe, he's single target. Misfortune has no mobility, but she has like an AoE ultimate, so they're really very different. But her in-lane poke is pretty good. Like, she can poke out people like Lucian, as you guys can see there. You can poke out Lucian very easily because Lucian has very, very low range. So that is one of her main strengths as well. Those are really her 2 only like huge strengths that she has going for her. Other than that, she really isn't too good. Now, I'm not trying to fool anyone here. I have come up with a guide for Misfortune, as you guys can see here, obviously. But I do not think Misfortune is that good at all. But you look at the damage on her ultimate. Like, if you can just stay there at a safe spot and cast your entire ultimate, you do insane amounts of damage, and really that is all you're having Misfortune for, is her insane ultimate damage. So as I said, I'm not gonna lie at all, and I have said this in like all my tier list videos, that I think Misfortune is possibly the worst AD carry next to Ashe. I think between Ashe and Misfortune, they're like worst and second worst, like depending on your opponents and the team comps. Like, those 2 are definitely the worst. You know, so I'm not trying to fool anyone here by trying to say Misfortune is like a meta pick or anything. Definitely not. But I do think she still has a place in the meta. Like I said, I do believe like horrible AD carries like Ashe and Misfortune, they still have a place in the meta. And I honestly believe every AD carry is at the minimum viable. They're definitely not meta, but they're viable. I think Ashe is viable. I think Misfortune is viable. So I think Misfortune is viable in a match like this, where you need some wombo combo. Like, if we had like a Malphite or what, it'd be even better for the wombo combo. But really, no other ADC has as good of a wombo combo as Misfortune. Like, honestly, nobody can wombo combo as good as Misfortune. No one has like the AoE, so really only Misfortune fits the bill. So here, as you guys can see, the whole enemy team is going for the dragon. Our Fiora is split pushing, nothing too wrong with that. Honestly, I think Fiora is better off split pushing than coming for dragon. Here, I'm being very cautious not to stand too close to the wall because I don't get hooked over by the Darius. But here, Amumu goes in, so I'm gonna just cast my ult into the pit, and I have stolen the dragon. Here, I actually misclicked the blast plan, so I'm gonna have to blow my flash to get out because I do not want to get trapped in that pit. So, kind of a little bit of a mechanical misplay by me to hit the blast cone because I thought I was in range to hit somebody in the pit, but I wasn't, so he auto-targeted the blast cone, and because of that, I die here. Like, if I still had my flash, if I didn't hit the blast cone, I did have a chance of course, flashing out, but of course it wasn't to be. In the meantime, we get the dragon and Fiora gets the first tower, so honestly, our team is doing fine. Like, the enemy team, in terms of kills, they're doing like way better than us, which is why their goal lead is better than us, but in terms of just in general, we are doing fine. Like, we have a dragon, we have the first tower. Next objective on the map is the Rift Herald, which I don't think I'll be rotating for. I'm not sure, I don't remember if we actually secure the Rift Herald or not. But regardless, we have our Essence Reaver as well as our boots, and of course Essence Reaver is our first major power spike. Our in-lane poke is going to get a lot stronger, and our ult is also going to get a lot stronger because of course they both benefit from the Essence Reaver. So yeah. Okay, so I kind of lost my train of thought because someone actually just gave me a call halfway as I was recording the video, so I'm gonna have to continue off from here. Of course, I've edited the ringtone and all out, but regardless, we actually managed to push in the bot wave, and despite saying I don't think we're gonna contest for the Rift Herald, we actually do end up walking up to the Rift Herald. And I get hit by like the Lux Snare for like the 1000th time in the game, and it's gonna happen a lot. Here, Darius tries to go onto me, and I'm gonna have to back off. Now here, you will see, look at this. This is what I like to call a zoning ultimate. So, really, there are 3 ways you can use your ultimate. So the first way, of course, is just for raw damage, like when you're in a safe position, just cast it onto the entire team. The second way is what you guys just saw there, which is a zoning ultimate. Now, what is a zoning ultimate? So, obviously, your ult does quite a bit of damage. It is your ultimate after all. So, if you know your enemies are going to walk at a particular spot, you can actually cast your ultimate toward that spot just to zone them away from the spot, because they cannot walk into that spot as long as you cast your ultimate on that spot, because they will take too much damage. Now, the last way you can use your ultimate is just to straight up clear waves, because sometimes, like especially if let's say you're losing, you kind of need to clear waves as fast as possible. Maybe the enemy has Baron waves and you need to clear them. Your best wave clear is your ultimate, so you can just cast your ultimate onto the wave just to clear it. So, but I normally try not to do that as much as possible unless I'm desperate, because as I said, Miss Fortune's main damage is from her ultimate itself. So if you do that, you kind of are wasting your biggest damage tool to clear waves. So that's not really the best, of course. Now, here, you know, Lucian is alone, and we're actually kind of looking to set up a dive. Amumu is wrapping around the back, so I'm forcing the wave as fast as possible. Unfortunately, as we're about to conduct the dive over here, as you can see, I start tanking first, so I walk out, Amumu comes in, Wukong flies in. So here I'm going to have to cast another zoning ultimate to make sure the Lucian and the Wukong don't walk up to us, because we're caught with the hand in the cookie jar trying to conduct a dive. But obviously Wukong read the play really good, and he came for the counter gang, so I'm gonna have to cast another zoning ultimate. You will see quite a bit of these in this match, because of course Miss Fortune doesn't really have the easiest time casting ultimates, especially on someone who can engage like a Wukong, a Darius, a long range catcher like Lux, or Yasuo, who as I've mentioned extensively has his wind wall. So really quite a hard time being a Miss Fortune in this match. So gonna have to play it really safe, and if at all possible, you know, I will try to use my ultimate as best I can. But honestly, using your ultimate to zone is very good as well. Now, obviously, the next dragon fight is coming up, and Miss Fortune loves team fights. Now, obviously, you love team fights because you can get off your huge ultimates onto the enemy team. So, what's not to love? So, team fights are exactly what Miss Fortune likes. Of course, before that, I'm going to try to clear the wave. The enemy team set Herald in mid, which is a pretty good move on their part. This is a very predictable move to stand in, which is why I'm not in it. The enemy team throw everything at the bush, and we somehow managed to burst the Lux. Here I'm casting my ult over the wall again and hitting as many people as I can. Then, of course, I'm going in and just attacking them in general. Dragon is pretty low, but hasn't been secured by any team as of yet. Here I'm actually pretty concerned about getting the dragon. I managed to actually kill the Darius, and Yasuo manages to die to the Zed. Of course, not Zed, Yasuo wind walled there, so I couldn't actually get my double up onto him, so Zed thankfully manages to secure the kill. We pick up the dragon, and note how I've somehow managed to score the last hit on both the first and the second dragon somehow. Pretty interesting match to say the least. And of course we're going to try to secure the most important tower of the game, which is the mid lane tower. Lux tries to ult to clear the wave, which is a pretty good move on her part. Unfortunately, one minion survives, so we do still manage to pick up the tower. Now I'm just going to pick up Infinity Edge. Of course, this is another major power spike for Miss Fortune. And honestly, Miss Fortune doesn't have like a major power spike, but every item is a major power spike, rather I should say. But she doesn't have a really like boom kind of power spike, like how Ezreal when he gets his evolved Mirror Mana, as well as his Triforce, that's a boom major power spike. She doesn't really have one of those. Like every single item is kind of like an equal power spike. There I managed to flash the Lux ulti, and here everybody's coming for my tower, and I managed to get hit by yet another one. Now I'm dead here. The moment Darius hooks me, I know I'm dead. Like there's no way I can escape the Darius. I try to heal to get more movement speed to get out, but it doesn't really work, and I just die to the Darius. Now this is why, like Miss Fortune, she has no mobility. Like really, she's gonna have a hard time against like people like Darius and like anybody who wants to run you down. People like Wukong who can dive onto an ult. But this game I actually choose to go for Proto Belt to actually get some mobility. Now I actually didn't really discuss the boot enchant just now, but normally you just go for either your Zhonya's or your QSS, just like normal AD carries do. But of course Proto Belt is an option as well. Now as we all know, some people like Varus and Miss Fortune don't actually have any mobility at all. So Proto Belt honestly is not a bad option to give you another mobility spell aside from your flash. So that's kind of what I was going for here. I was like, okay, if I'm out of position, I can Proto Belt away. So here I actually ult to clear the wave, as well as damage the enemies at the same time, but more so to clear the wave. Now, as I said, normally we don't do that, but you know, that was a pretty good opportunity to do that to stop their push, because if not, they get a huge amount of damage to the tower. I prevented them from even getting a plate, so they didn't get any gold out of that. So I think that that's worth it to sacrifice my ultimate for. And I don't really see any team fight happening in the foreseeable future, because there isn't any dragon spawn or whatnot. So I deem it a good enough time to just use ult to clear wave. So we're going to be able to see like all the uses of the ult. We have seen all the uses of the ult. Actually, we've seen the zoning ult, we've seen the wave clear ult, we've seen the damaging ult. So really showing you guys all the different ways you can use the MF ult. Unfortunately, I was wrong, and the team fight actually does break out. So I don't actually have my ult here. I'm only going to rely on my auto attacks. Darius honestly comes a little bit too deep. He just greets with the Amumu, who does have full stacks. Amumu manages to trade onto him right before he dies. So 1-for-1 trade between a Darius and a Amumu. I know that I'll take that any day of the week. So Darius actually gets shut down by the Amumu. So not the best move on his part. So here, enemies might be in the area. So I'm just being a little bit cautious. Of course, going just here to clear the wave. We see them all at mid, so I do feel relatively safe to do this. Of course, 3 of them are mid. So only like the Wukong is missing. Wukong just turns up to the party. And here I'm going to have to cast another zoning ultimate just to prevent them from further chasing onto my Fiora. Now honestly, I don't think this Fiora is all too good. Like we've taken a look at her skills. Like we've panned the camera. She did manage to repost the Yasuo tornado once, but overall, I don't think she's the most skillful Fiora, because if not, her score wouldn't be 3, 5, and 2. But regardless, she's a teammate. We help teammates out. So we're going to just cast our ultimate to zone the enemies away to prevent them from pursuing our Fiora. Now, Darius, of course, over there. We don't want to be too close. Now, Darius, if you guys take note, has a Proto Belt. So he can Proto Belt hook. So we have to always be cautious of that Proto Belt hook. Unfortunately, he runs himself into 5 people. So we managed to, just kill him, basically. Managed to kill that raid boss. Not a good idea to run into all of us. Now here the Infernal Dragon is up, so with one team member dead on the enemy team, we decide to just straight up go for it. We can see Wukong, of course, goes in, and we're trying our best to do damage to Wukong. Of course, that's the clone. The real Wukong is there. I actually don't hit my ultimate onto the Wukong. He actually manages to get the steal after the Amumu, but I managed to actually chunk out majority of the enemy team. Here, Yasuo tries to escape. I time my double up just so as he comes up out of his Zhonya's, and we get the kill there. The rest of my team decide to chase the Lux, who's 1 HP. Obviously, we don't need like 4 people to chase 1 Lux. So I'm just going to do the better move, which is to clear the wave. So it turns out the my team doesn't even manage to get the kill on the Lux. So it would have just been a wild goose chase if I were to go for the Lux. So instead, I just go for the confirmed goal in the minions. Now, of course, we can also get the tower of this at long last, which has been up the entire game. We haven't been able to get that. And there we go, picking up the tower. And yeah, so we have lost the dragon, we got the tower, and the fight's over. So we're just gonna back off. Nothing too much happening around here. Now at this point, I have 3 items. I have the Essence Reaver, I have the Infinity Edge, I have the Seralda's Grudge, and my ult should be doing a ton of damage, as well as the slow, of course. Now here I'm taking red buff because firstly I have my 3 items, and Amumu is AP and a tank anyway, so he's building full tank and he's AP. Red buff doesn't really do anything for him. Thankfully he gives it over. I did ping it a little bit just in case, so he does give it over. So good on him. Good play for the team here. Just gonna clear the way. Fiora does more split pushing, and she's actually gonna TP to top lane to defend the top lane tower as well. So don't know if that was the best use of her TP, but it was alright at the minimum. So here, honestly, nothing too much is happening. Now, my main goal in team fights is I want to wait for Amumu to engage and get a huge ult off so that I can actually channel my whole ult onto somebody or a couple of people if at all possible. So here, I just want to hang back in general. Here, Yasuo actually uses his wind wall already, so we know that the threat of his wind wall isn't there. Here, he gets hit by basically everything, and at the same time, so does Lux. I managed to ult to kill, or I don't get the kill on the Lux, but I do majority of the damage to the Lux, as well as clear the minion wave at the same time. So here we can get a good push onto the enemy mid lane. Lucian turns up, and he really can't do anything to the wave unless he ults it, but he doesn't actually have his ult at the moment, so that is really a non-issue. So we managed to secure the mid lane tower, and now I'm just headed back to bot lane to push out the bot lane. Probably, maybe back after that, we shall see. But here we're going to just push out the bot lane. Nice double slow with both the double, Make It Rain combined with the Seralda's Grudge is a very potent slow. Now, another thing I actually mentioned is, if it is possible, you should actually cast your E before you use your ultimate for the slow, so it's harder for them to escape. Now, I don't really do that in this match, just simply because Amumu is already providing a CC for me. They can't really run from a stun anyway, so I don't really think that's a huge problem in this particular match. But if you don't have like an Amumu to, you know, set up for you, you do need to actually E onto the people before you ult them. That is an important detail. Here, all the enemies are missing, so we thought they might be a Baron, but after seeing Lucian and Yasuo, I conclude it can be possible, but Fiora goes to check anyways. Hook over the wall. I try my best to do as much damage as possible. I actually managed to half health the Lucian. Here, Darius has the full stacks on me after killing the Nami, and he has Flash and Proto Belt. He both flashes and Proto Belts to get the kill on me, so I mean, what can you really do about it? I only have that many spells. I have already used my Flash and Proto Belt, so I really can't escape. If he matches me spell for spell, there's really nothing I can do. So yeah. Here, Fiora actually manages to go into 5 people, being the genius that she is. Zed follows suit, but thankfully he actually manages to get a kill. And he actually doesn't manage to escape with his life because he actually runs into minions like a fool. So the minions do kill him, unfortunately. So yeah. Here, Elder Dragon is up, Baron is up, and our team just got aced. And it's a 1 for 5. So only Lucian died. So we're in deep trouble because we have lost our in-hit. We did lose our hit. We have lost our in-hit. We have lost the Baron, and the game is now blown wide open. Our enemy team obviously has a goal lead over us, and we do. This is a very close game, obviously. So here I'm just gonna check Elder because I thought they might be there. They aren't there actually, so that is good for us here. The Yasuo is on me, and I actually do manage to survive from Nami using heal and locket on me, as well as me Proto Bell away. Here I actually out and nearly managed to kill Yasuo, but he manages to knock me up. And here, this is the fight that really changes the game. I killed the Yasuo. Wukong is in the vicinity as well. He's caught between a rock and a hard place. Tries to cyclone his way out. It isn't going to work. here I make it rain on his reviving body so that when he comes up, he's gonna instantly be slowed. Here I thought I was gonna get dunked on by the Darius again, but he tunnel visions onto the Fiora and actually manages to just chase Fiora. Fiora dies from the bleed anyways, but because of that, I managed to stay alive to kill the Darius. Now, horrible play by the Darius there. He tunnel vision on the Fiora so bad. He could have just easily killed me because I was at full stacks, and he probably dunked me. He'd probably do like half my health. I'd probably die, but he actually doesn't. Here, the Lucian ends up inting by having a last-ditch attempt to try to steal the dragon. He tries to ult, gets caught by the bubble, gets caught by everything, and he's gone. Now we have just aced the enemy team, securing ourselves the Elder Dragon, and combined with our Ocean and Cloud Dragon, this Elder Dragon is going to be huge damage. Now this fight really kind of turned the game in our favor. Now it is true we do have a gold deficit against the enemy team. We have less kills than the enemy team, but we have the Elder Dragon with 2 other dragons stacked up. What we also have is an Amumu Misfortune Wombo combo, and at this point in time I'm nearly full build. I almost have my Guardian Angel. I already have the Executioner's Calling, so look at the fat shield I get from both the Executioner's Calling as well as the Elder Mountain Dragon shield. Now you guys will see, I do remember this happening, but you guys will see sooner or later Lux decides to ult me, and I take next to no damage just because of how huge the shield is. So anyways, we'll see probably soon. I do believe it's quite soon. So here I can actually back to get myself the Guardian Angel. So I am at full build at this point, so this is my maximum strength, of course. Misfortune does kind of fall off in the late game compared to other marksmen at least. Thankfully I'm against a Lucian who also does fall off compared to other marksmen, so we are both probably relatively equal. But here I managed to get out a huge ult, and which kills the Yasuo as he eats the entire ult in the Nami bubble. I'm gonna have to run away from the Darius. Darius tries to get a dunk on but doesn't really work out. Amumu whiffs his ult unfortunately, but I got flash forward to get the kill onto the Lucian. Elder Dragon Burn does get the kill onto the Lucian. So here, this is where we push to end. Like, we've lost 2 members, they've lost 3 members, so we're just trying to push to end here. But nice move by the Lux, clearing the minion wave for ult yet again. Trying to foil our plans, but unfortunately for her, we do have a wave in the bot lane, so we're gonna just use that wave. Wukong tries his best to stop us, but he's alone. We're gonna ult him, kind of, and yeah, we're just gonna secure the tower. Zed outs actually to finish off the actually I do get the kill onto the Lux, and Wukong is left by himself here, as I said, attacking minion then tower to do the maximum amount of damage to the tower. And here we decide to go for the safe approach. Now we could have forced the end here, but you know, 2 of our members are kind of low. Amumu is low and the Zed is low, so we instead go for the safer play, which is just to go for the Baron. Enemy team is really hard for them to contest because they have to run straight here, and you can see on the ward we placed that they are running straight here, but we managed to secure it in time, and they also have to deal with all the pushing waves. So yeah, that's definitely not the best situation for them. I don't have to back, of course, because I'm at full build and I'm at full health, full mana, more or less, so I'm just gonna stay in the mid lane, baron up the waves, and get a push going. Now we're gonna have to try to push to end here, of course, because the enemy team will, you know, we are finally have a goal lead, but enemy team I do believe will outscale us. Like the Lux, the Yasuo, you know, Darius and Wukong are pretty scary later in the game as well. Whereas Zed doesn't scale well, I don't scale well. You know, Amumu and Fiora, they're alright, but we're gonna try to end the game right here. Of course, we do have the advantage, we do have the Baron, we do have the Elder, we do have everything. So here, Nami gets off a pretty nice ult here. Boom, out to wave clear and just out for damage in general. Just look at what I do here. Just look at that. It's insane. Just look at that insane damage by Misfortune. Yeah, and with that, we're just gonna play for kills and we end the game. And now just look at how much damage I do in the stats. Of course, as usual, I'll leave you guys with the stats, but just take a look at the insane damage. So thank you guys for watching the video, and goodbye.